In this video, we're going to take a look at absolute cell references in Excel. What are they and how do we use them? By default, all cell references in Excel are relative. Now, what does this mean? Let's say I have a number in cell A1 and in cell B1 I have a formula equals A1 plus 1. Now, the way I'd like to look at this formula is equals the cell on the left plus 1. Because if I copy this formula to another cell, the cell reference in the copy changes. It no longer refers to A1, but it always refers to the cell on the left of the formula. Now, the fact that if you copy a formula to a different location, to a different cell, the cell reference also changes. This is called relative cell reference. Well, sometimes you have a formula referencing A1, and when you make a copy of the formula, you want to have the reference to A1 stay at A1. This is called absolute cell reference, but this is not the default behavior in Excel. Now, let's get behind the computer and let me show you how to create absolute cell references. I'll give you two examples. I have a small table here with a few dollar amounts excluding VAT. And I'm going to calculate the VAT amount. So let's say the VAT rate is 15%. Then the VAT amount is a 4 times 15%, so 15%. Now if I copy this formula down, it works. But this is not the way you should do it. All the copies work because they refer to the cell left of the formula. But the VAT rate is not something you should type in. Because there's one VAT rate for the entire table, I'm going to type the VAT rate outside the table. 15%. Now I'm going to replace the 15% in this formula by a reference to B1. Enter. If I copy this formula down, all the copies of my formula don't work. They all refer to the cell on the left. This is correct, but they also refer to the cell that is 3 cells above the formula. This is not correct. This should be B1. And what I should do to repair this formula is make the cell reference to B1 absolute. And I can make this cell reference absolute by using dollar signs. And you type a dollar sign before the part of the cell reference which you want to make absolute. So for example, if I type $B, the B will not change into a C when copying this formula. If I type $1, the 1 cannot change into a 2 when copying this formula. And then there's the option to type 2 dollar signs. $B, $1 means the B cannot change into a C and the 1 cannot change into a 2. In this case, B1 changed into B2, so I have to make the reference to row 1 absolute to prevent B1 changing into B2. Enter, and again copy this formula down and double click one copy to check the result. And you can see all the copies of the formula use B1 as a cell reference. So this formula works. Now what some people will do is also type a dollar sign before the B. The dollar sign before the B prevents the B from turning into a C when copying this formula, but the B never changed into a C. So this dollar sign is actually not necessary, but also not harmful. Enter, copy this one down. Double click a copy and check if the cell reference is still correct. All the formulas in this column work, so I press enter and now I will type the formula for the amount including VAT. Equals 10 plus 150, enter. And because my cell references all refer to cells in different columns in the same row, I don't need absolute cell references. So I don't need to type any dollar signs. Enter, I can just copy this formula down. And every formula will refer to cells on the same row in the table. Now let's go to my second example. Here I have 3 bank accounts. On all bank accounts I deposit $100. and I want to calculate the balance on my bank accounts after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, etc., using the interest rate which applies to each bank account. So for every cell in this area, I will have to type a formula which adds an interest rate to the account balance of the previous year. So $100 multiplied by, and I want to type the number 1.01, which is the same as 101%, but using this interest rate, this equates to 100% plus this interest rate. Close parenthesis and copy the formula down. Let's widen the column a little and see what happened. These numbers are obviously wrong, so I'll open a copy of the formula to see what cells it refers to. I am currently in B4 and it refers to the cell above, so the account balance of the previous year, but as an interest rate it didn't use the 1%, it used the $100. So B1 changed into B2 when copying the formula, so I have to change the original formula and make sure the 1 doesn't change into a 2 by placing a $sign before the 1. Press enter and again copy the formula down and see if it works. Well, it looks a lot better. Double click a copy. It refers to the cell above, which is correct, and it refers to $1, which is correct. This is the interest rate of 1% for this account. And some people say, okay, I don't know exactly which $sign to use, so I'll just use both. This always works. Well, no, it doesn't always work. Let's see what happens. Enter, copy this formula down. Well, this seems to work, but now I'm going to copy all the formulas to the right. And at first sight there doesn't seem to be anything wrong, but for all 3 bank accounts which have different interest rates, all balances for every year seem to be the same. So double click a copy to see what happened. It refers to C9, which is the cell above. This is correct, but it also refers to B1. And B1 is the interest rate for the first bank account, but for this bank account in column C, I wanted to use the 3% interest rate. So this should refer to C1, but by typing a $sign before the B, I made sure that the B was not able to change into a C. So let's repair my original formula and delete the $sign before the B. So now the B can change into a C, but it always refers to row 1. Enter and copy down the formula again, and also copy all the formulas to the right. And now I get different results for each account. Double click a copy to check the cell references. It refers to the cell above and it refers to D1, which is the interest rate 5% for this bank account. Okay, one last comment though about the $signs. The $signs have nothing to do with currencies. So in my examples, I have dollars as a currency, but also if you are working with, for example, euros or Indian rupees, you still have to use $signs to make your cell references absolute. And what's also good to know is that there's a shortcut key to place $signs in your cell references. Just press the F4 key on your keyboard. Now I have $D1, press F4 again, now I get D1, press F4 again, now I get $2 So if you press F4 multiple times, you're going to cycle through the different options. And now you know how and when to use absolute cell references in Excel.